A recent study by the University of Catania has noted that microplastics are present in fruits and vegetables, with apples being the most contaminated fruit, while carrots are the vegetables most affected. This means, ladies and gentlemen, that humans are ingesting microplastics every day. Many have called microplastics as the next crisis for humanity to overcome, with a recent study led by researchers at Plymouth Marine Laboratory indicating that there are 2.5 to 10 times more microplastics in the ocean than previously thought. Unfortunately, many are not aware on the existence of microplastics. I am here to inform the audience as to what are microplastics, its various types, and their major sources. Plastics, as implied, are tiny particles. They are plastics between 1 nanometer to less than 5 millimeters in diameter. Researchers in Plymouth University were the first to demonstrate the occurrence of microscopic plastic debris in the environment. Professor Thompson's team has showed that microplastic particles had accumulated since the 1960s and are present in oceans worldwide. However, microplastics garnered the attention of the scientific community about a decade ago. Since then, there have been an enormous increase in publications about many different aspects of microplastic distribution and behavior. In 2014, it is estimated that there are between 15 and 51 trillion individual pieces of microplastics in the world's oceans, which is estimated to weigh about 53,000 to 236,000 metric tons. There are two types of microplastics, that is, primary microplastics and secondary microplastics, and they mainly come from tires, synthetic fibers, and cosmetics. Firstly, we are going to talk about the two types of microplastics. The first is primary microplastics. Primary microplastics, which are any plastic fragments or particles that are already 5 millimeters in size or less before entering the environment. The global release of primary microplastics in the ocean was estimated at 1.5 million tons per year by the IUCN, or the International Union for Conservation of Nature. The global figure corresponds to a world equivalent per capita release of 212 grams, or the equivalent of one empty conventional plastic grocery bag thrown into the ocean per person or per week worldwide. Most of the losses of primary microplastics, which are 98%, are generated from land-based activities. Only 2% is generated from activities at sea. Most of the releases to the oceans are occurring from the use of products, which is 49%, or the maintenance of products, which is 28%. The main pathways of these plastics into the ocean are through road runoff, 66%, wastewater treatments, 25%, and wind transfer, 7%. The next type is secondary microplastics, which arise from the degradation or breakdown of larger plastic products through natural weathering processes after entering the environment. Over time, the culmination of physical, biological, and chemophoto-degradation, including photodegradation caused by sunlight exposure, can reduce the structural integrity of plastic debris to a size that is eventually undetectable to the naked eye. The process of breaking down large plastic material to much smaller pieces is known as fragmentation. It is considered that microplastics might further degrade to a smaller size, even though the smallest microplastic reportedly detected in the oceans is present at 1.6 micrometers, in diameter. The prevalence of microplastics with uneven shapes suggests that fragmentation is the key source. Sources include water and soda bottles, fishing nets, plastic bottles, plastic bags, microwave containers, and tea bags. Given that the origins of secondary microplastics are difficult to trace given their degradation, it is difficult to meaningfully assess how much of the figures of microplastics have now been converted to microplastics. Microplastics are mostly sourced from the wear and tear of car and truck tires and synthetic fibers. Modern tires consist of about 19% of natural rubber and 24% of synthetic rubber, derived from a plastic polymer. As we drive, tires are brazed, throwing off small pieces of synthetic plastic that make their way into streams and eventually our oceans. A 2007 study by Peter Jan Cole at the Open University of the Netherlands, published in the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health, stated that it is estimated that tires account for as much as 10% of overall microplastic waste in the world's oceans. Another report by the IUCN in 2017 implies it as 28%. Fabric made from polyester, nylon, acrylics, and spandex can be shed from clothing and persist in the environment. Each garment in a load of laundry can shed more than 1,900 fibers of microplastics, with fleeces releasing the highest percentage of fibers, of over 170% more than other garments. For an average wash load of 6 kilograms, over 700,000 fibers could be released per wash. The cosmetic industry also contributes to microplastic production, as some companies have replaced natural exfoliating ingredients with microplastic, usually in the form of microbeads or microexfoliates. These products are typically composed of polyethylene, common component of plastics, but they can also be manufactured from polypropylene, polyethylene terephthalate, or PETs, commonly known as, and nylon. The beads are usually washed into the sewage system immediately after use. Their small sizes prevent them from fully being retained by preliminary treatment screens at wastewater plants, thereby allowing some to enter rivers and oceans. In fact, wastewater and treatment plants only remove an average about 95 to 99.9% of the microbeads because of the nature of microbeads being very small in design. Since the first invention of plastic in 1907, roughly 114 years ago by Leo Baekeland, it has revolutionized humanity, for better or worse. The accumulation of microplastics in the 60s was the start to a global crisis happening today. There are now two types of classifications of microplastics, which are primary and secondary microplastics. And the biggest microplastic pollution is derived from tires, synthetic fibers, and cosmetic products. This crisis should be tackled immediately for the betterment of humanity and the environment. To quote Charles Moore, an oceanographer, only humans can make waste that nature cannot digest. And with that, thank you.